This one is called Desperate/Famished. When did you learn you were too much? When did you learn your desire was too great? When did you learn exactly what the status quo was and that you were outside of it? When did you start to starve yourself? When did you start to look outside for answers on how you felt inside? When did you start to chip away the pieces they said didn't fit? Are you desperate or famished? Have you ever wondered about the difference between these two? How long can someone starve before they start to stab at anything they can reach? How long can you hold back the waterfall? How long will you believe you have to? I realized the other day in thinking about romantic relationships and an insecurity that comes up a lot. Actually, not even in romantic, any kind of relationship. We should really stop, and I'm including me in this, we should stop centering romantic relationships as when you center something, it feels like prioritizing it, and I think they are a good example of a closer mirror, because just more stuff comes up in romantic relationships. You're not necessarily being, just one example is physically intimate with your friends probably. And so they can help you learn a lot more in that way, but they're not priority. I've learned so much from all of my friendships about how to love in general, about who I want to be, how I want to be myself. But worrying that the people in your life who love you, not trusting it, and kind of thinking that everyone is kind of laughing at you behind your back or behaving the way they do, they love you, they care about you because they feel bad for you, or any other kind of twisted thing we use to torture ourselves, twisted mindset. I'm cutting my hair right now. Thinking that everybody's doing it in a way that isn't sincere for any reason. I'm unlearning that, I guess. So I remember when this happened, or one of the first times I was like, oh, okay. I was on this sort of date with this guy. Texted him if he wanted to go get dinner, and he was like, oh shoot, let me cancel my delivery order I just made. And so then when we actually were walking, I was also we can leave, just trying to give him ways out of it. And he was like, I wouldn't be here if I didn't want to be. And I was like, whoa. And then I was chatting with one of my friends about some drama that had happened. He had lived through and was tired of. I also knew the people that the drama had gone down with. And so I was trying to understand what happened. And I was like, we also can stop talking about this whenever you want. And he was like, yeah, if I didn't want to be talking about it, we wouldn't be talking about it. And I was like, we can just have that control. We can just actually do what we want. Because, it seems like the realization of people want to be around me, people want to, hang out with me, that means that I can actually do what I want. Once you actually start listening to what you want and start doing what you want, there's so much more freedom in that for you and for other people. And a great example of both of these things. So I've been seeing this girl for a while. We met last spring, and there have been some ups and downs in our connection, moments where we didn't speak, but now we are talking and it feels really good. And I realized why I think I feel kind of more secure now is, one, because I have learned so much about myself, and I like myself so much more, or learned to love myself so much more in the months that we didn't talk, because this was when I was in Africa. And I have said in other episodes, I feel I had to go to Africa by myself to learn how to eat right, to learn how to exercise, or just take care of my body. Malaria teaches you a lot about balance. And I realized that having that experience made me love myself so much more. And now a bonus of like her doing something that really disappointed me and made us, well, I made us, but like ended up in us not speaking for a while, has made me feel so much more secure in the relationship, partially because it feels like we're like really choosing it. Like it didn't just happen because like there was a break. And also she's not doing anything just because I want her to. She's not doing anything because she feels bad for me. Like she is not afraid to disappoint me. She speaks to me because she wants to speak. We're in some kind of relationship because like we both want to be, and that feels very freeing. It feels good. It also, I feel like, makes you trust reality a lot more, or trust the process, trust your life, because when you actually start following what you want and you're given like a path to move forward, like it keeps showing up and it keeps getting better, and you're not inherently guilty or to blame for going after what you want or disappointing someone. Like it's not a measure of your character. It's not a measure of who you are by denying yourself. Like it's not something to be proud of to deny yourself what you want. And I think about where I probably learned this because I grew up Catholic. They're so about like the self-flagellation thing. Like I went to mass with my mom on Christmas and I was just like, holy shit. Like I hadn't gone in years. And listening to it, being there in that environment again, it makes sense a lot why me, my siblings, and so many other people who were raised Catholic deal with so much shame. Catholics specialize in shame, like through my fault, through my most grievous fault. That's in one of the prayers that you say every Sunday. Like, yes, we all have faults, but God, this eclipse season has been feeling especially fucked up. Like, nothing is wrong, but like nothing feels right. Like, it's just so, everything is blah, and there's no reason why. Like, nothing feels comfortable. I had a crying episode the other day where I was just, like, so ready to cry for, like, the whole day. For, like, no reason. Which usually only happens on full moons, and that was a while ago. The last crying episode I had was... Oh, God, maybe this isn't a good idea. The last crying episode I had was on my birthday, and I just like for those 3 days, like between my birthday and the day my dad died, I just woke up crying every day for no reason again. And my sweet friend was like, "What's wrong? Like, how can I help you?" And I was like, "I don't know." But looking back now, when I think about that time, it really feels like I was grieving something but didn't realize it. And that also, I mean, just the past 5 years, there has been so much collective grief that hasn't been easy to process either. And so, like, my birthday is August 20th, and then I went to the Southeast Pacific mid-September. I did all the crying on my birthday, and then on that whole trip, it just felt like, in reality, reminder how I was thinking of myself wasn't accurate anymore. Met a lot of new people, and people that I immediately pretty much admired because they were cool. And they all responded really well to me, which, I don't know, just feels good when someone that you admire likes you as well. But it was also, well, when I was in kindergarten, I got made fun of a lot for being fat and farting. I don't remember which one was worse, but the part I really internalized, because obviously it was something that I could blame myself for. I knew everybody farted. So I always kind of have carried that as like part of my identity, and always think that it's just like an unquestionably visible part of my story, like sort of like my tattoos, I guess, maybe. which it sort of is because I have so much extra skin, but still not the same exactly. Like, I remember I told this one woman, and I was like, yeah, I grew up really fat. And she was like, really? I was like, what? You're surprised right now? Like, this feels like common knowledge. But it just, like, so that sort of thing happened a few times. And so then it just ended up feeling like, okay, well, maybe this identity doesn't actually fit anymore, girl. Like, but yeah, with the crying so much crying right before, it really felt like I was kind of grieving parts of myself before they went away, or like as they were going away, but I wasn't really conscious of it. And then all of a sudden it falls away. But the Catholic thing, this might just be also a generational thing, because I think about the way my mom mothers and the way it seemed was the mothering style that was praised for her generation had a lot to do with self-sacrifice, and like that love means that you sacrifice, that love means that you have to make yourself small. Like, I was just listening to We Can Do Hard Things, my emotional support podcast, and they had this woman on who was in a like hyper Christian, hyper patriarchal family, and they were talking about how, or Glennon said this so many times, but like the goal of the patriarchy is to make women small and not take up space. And like, I remember when I was in 8th grade having a crush on this boy and telling my best friend and saying, he just makes me feel small, because that was all I wanted as a fat kid in 8th grade, where kids are mean. Someone called me a polar bear in the hallway. And now I'm not worried about so much about the space I take up. I mean, I've lost so many things in my life, and my whole life has changed at least 3 or 4 times in my life, and I'm only 28. And so I feel like I've shown myself that I can handle it. And it also, all of the losing, like every time I lost something that was so near and dear to me, and I thought it was my whole life, or like I was investing so much of myself in it, I found more of myself by losing it. I created more of myself by losing. There's that expression, the arrow when it's in the bow and like pulled back, that's when it's the hardest to hold. And so it's like the tension is coming up right before you're about to fly. And with just a month left before my travels, it makes sense. Because like my head has also just been like a hard place to exist in lately. Like, I don't even feel like it's necessarily been any direct thoughts at myself, like bullying myself in my head. I feel like we've moved past that, thank God. Correction, I did in fact start bullying myself, but editing this has helped me realize that I was doing it and have now worked on changing the pattern again. When I worked at a bookstore, I really tried to do some work on changing my self-talk. And so when I would go to the bathroom, it was really great working at that bookstore because there was no uniform, and so I could put on my cute little outfit before work, get a little stoned, go to my cute little train stop, and like living my city girl dream. Then when I would go to the bathroom at work, I would try to talk to myself like I would talk to one of my friends in college before like going out on a night out, when you're like, ooh girl, like who gave you permission? Oh my gosh. I would try to do that, and even if it only felt like a joke at first, it did, I think, start to change things. Like the last time I really had like suicidal feelings, luckily without the ideation, but it was just the same, I could identify the feeling. I was able to hold on to not having my self-talk go back to bullying myself in my head. And so luckily, I think we've managed to not get to that state. But it does feel like I immediately tend to heavier emotions or reactions, or kind of like blamey on myself, or it just feels kind of like old reactions, like an earlier version of myself, just kind of like shutting down. And it's like, wait, we don't do this anymore. We know how to communicate. We don't need to isolate. But obviously it takes time. Also, going back to the arrow thing, when you're about to kind of let go of a coping mechanism or a way of thinking, which could be a coping mechanism, but any of that, it comes up louder. Like when you're expanding, when your world is changing, when you're expanding your capacity, everything like that, all of your insecurities are going to come up because it's different, because it's scary. Obviously, it's terrifying. But that's when they come up, because they know they're about to kind of like get out of the house, you know? They're not moving forward with us, any of these mean self-talk and everything like that. Luckily now we're trimming the ends, so I'm not going to get hair in my mouth. And I feel like this also relates to not trusting yourself, like not allowing yourself to desire. 11:11. Not allowing yourself to desire, I feel like, comes from not trusting your desires. And something else they said in this podcast, it was a really good episode, was how child abuse, physically disciplining your child, well, one comes from lack of emotional regulation in the parent, because you can't handle what's going on. So it has nothing to do with the child, what the child is doing. And also, like, there was this example that the woman learned at the church groups from others, was a blanket method of like disciplining a baby before they can even walk. Put them on a blanket, and then when they try to crawl off the blanket, you hit them with a switch, with a whip, essentially. I'm pretty sure that's what a switch is. If you learn from such a young age that your curiosity is dangerous, if you learn that going outside the bounds of what is accepted by the powers that be is dangerous, you will get physical pain for it, you would never do it. Some of the best advice I've gotten was right before I moved to New York, actually. Wow, what a pivotal time. I reference it constantly, but it was really like a perfect chapter, bite-sized pieces, like really good reference for pattern making. When I was saving up to move there, I did a contract on the boats, my first one back after COVID, and my dear friend that we both did our first contracts at the same time also did a contract back to save up to move to Germany. And when we got off the boat at the same time and got to spend a few days together in Juneau, and right before we were going to be leaving, both of us going to like pursue our dreams in respective cities, I was like, I don't know, like I'm feeling really scared, like I don't know what to do. And she said, well, what else are you gonna do? Not go to New York? Not do what you know you want to do? What else are you gonna do? And I was just like, I'm about to cry. This isn't what I needed right now, or that's what I thought. But it has seriously been something I've referenced for myself constantly, or it really just like shook my brainwaves. Just be like, damn, it is really like, what else are you gonna do? Also going back to the generational thing, and also touching on the blanket training and being taught that your desires are dangerous, with that being the way generations before us were raised, and trauma is literally genetically passed down for 3 generations, like physical, it makes sense why going after what you want is terrifying, and going against the grain is terrifying, because we've been taught literally physically, what you want is dangerous, and going against what your parents think is best is gonna ruin your life. But now we're in a place where we can make that decision for ourselves. Like, are you not going to do what you know you want to do? If you have a conscious desire, if you know the direction that you want to go in, even if it's just like a tiny little thing, like, oh, I want to drive this way to work today or something like that, are you not going to do it? Why are you spending time denying yourself what you want? And that, I feel like, also goes back to the limiting beliefs thing. Like, why are we spending so much time fucking ourselves over in the head and every way? Why are we so mean? I really wonder, that feels like it has to be part of the human condition. I've seen a few people saying like, oh, but this constant criticism is what makes me better. Like, this is what keeps me constantly striving. And I feel like there's a middle ground. You can't bully yourself into betterment, but nor can you praise yourself into perfection. That was pretty good. I mean, just don't think you're the shit, but don't hate on yourself. I'm saying this while looking in the mirror. Don't think you're the shit, even with this gorgeous new haircut. It's not new. Why can't we just have a good time? Why does it have to mean something? As I'm constantly searching for meaning. That's enough audio. In closing, I've lost so many things that I thought were vital to me, that were part of what made up the essence of who I was. And in losing them, I learned so much more about who I already was and wanted to be, even more so. And I always thought that being too much would push everyone away and would not let me get anything I wanted. And so I always tried to make myself small and not have any needs, because then I thought I would be palatable to everyone. But then it's funny that losing those things that did make up who I was, I guess, losing those things made me be so much more myself, kind of forced me to stand on my own, learn how to be comfortable being too much, if that's how someone wants to describe it. Wow, this episode took us from cutting hair to making breakfast, and now here I am under my weighted blanket. It's the 1st of April. Finally, we are out of the month of March, and hopefully things can calm down and slow down, but I kind of doubt it. I offer tarot card readings online, and I have collages for sale. I'm also thinking about, a lot of us are going through our Saturn returns right now, or we will be soon, excuse me. And I am part of this group, and so I've been doing more research, and so I've been learning more. And so if anybody wants me to read their chart for their Saturn return and give them some more insight on kind of what's coming, everything I've read about mine, it's like, holy shit, it makes a lot of sense. And so for the same price as the tarot card readings, just $15. If someone is interested, I'll add that to my website. I hope you have amazing April Fool's jokes if you celebrate. And I hope you're getting some good rest. And I hope you're being nicer to yourself than I've been lately. Much love, always.